The other thing that I would say in terms of general, let me move this so you can see me. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I have finally finished cleaning half the garage. I'm just kidding. If you saw the previous video, I updated you guys on the state of the garage. It is in fact clean, but I am staring at the donation pile. But the good news is now I have space for plants. Always wanted to have kind of like a plant station in the garage, and now I do. So here we are. So welcome. Today's video is going to be kind of a chill, general tips video. I get a lot of questions about plants and kind of what I know about them based off of my experience. I do have a green thumb. I'm not like a plant doctor, so don't quote me. Is there such thing as a plant doctor? I don't know. Generally speaking, with my plants, I check in every 1 to 2 weeks. That doesn't include watering. I water them more than that. But I want to check in every couple of weeks just to see how they're doing. Growth-wise, my plants are pretty aggressive. Some plants are a little bit quieter. The plants that I have grow very, very quickly. So I try to make sure that I'm checking in on them every couple of weeks just to make sure they're okay. But I do a root check, so I make sure that the roots are not blasting out of their pots. I do a soil check. I make sure their soil is damp, or depending on what kind of plant, dry. Depends on what plant you're dealing with. And then of course a bug check. I had a recent infestation of mealybugs. That's what it's called. Mealybugs. I had a few plants go down to mealybugs, so I'm keeping track of all the plants in our house to make sure that none of them caught the mealybugs. So far, I have one mealybug case that's still happening. It is isolated and quarantined away, so it's on a top shelf away from all the other plants. I want to make sure that that plant is quarantined away from the other plants so that the other plants don't get it. And then I'm also checking on that plant and kind of cleaning it with rubbing alcohol to try to get rid of the mealybugs, because I do want to keep the plant. So let me give you a rundown of some of the plants I have. My two pride and joys are my monsteras. If you have watched Lisa, the Vegans videos, you'll know that I gave her a baby of one of mine, and now it's exploding in her home. But I have two that I'm very proud of. This is actually the mama. So she's the main plant that has given me lots and lots of babies. And this one's a baby that is kind of out of control. So we're going to be dealing with those today. Let's talk about the general check and how that applies to plants. So first I check the soil. So I'll stick my finger in and kind of make sure that it's not too dry. This is like the perfect consistency, right? I also want to check the roots. So I kind of want to feel around and kind of make sure the roots are not too tight in there. This plant feels pretty good, and I know it's okay because I repotted it pretty recently. I know she's happy. I've also rigged her up with a bamboo stick. I'm going to fix that a little bit better today so that it's a permanent stick. Right now she's just kind of leaning on it. And then the exciting part is that she actually has new growth coming out right here. So she has a new leaf. So I just feel around in there and make sure the soil is nice and moist. It's not too tightly packed down there, and that the roots are pretty happy. So I can feel that there's a lot of space. I'm not jamming into any roots or anything like that. And I just kind of loosen it up. Okay. Because I had a recent infestation, I also check for bugs. So I'm not seeing anything, and mealybugs are very, very sneaky, I found. So you have to be checking like every seam of the plant, every crevice. Focus. You should be checking for mealybugs. So even little spots here behind the leaves, like I found that they were hiding, you know, every spot they could find. So I'm always trying to make sure that I keep track of that, because you never know. I don't do a lot of crazy fertilization, but I do use Joby sticks. So Joby sticks they were actually introduced to me by a senior. So I used to work at a senior center, and if you know anything about seniors, is that they love plants, which was great. So that senior center was covered in plants, from ones that I brought in and ones that they brought in. And I ran a couple of gardening clinics, but they love Joby sticks because they're really, really easy. They're just little fertilizer sticks. So you can see them. They kind of look like a cigarette. But you just stick them into the dirt. About, I think like 2 inches is good enough. I just stick them off to the side, cover it all up, and you do it every 2 months. So I haven't done them in a while, so I know for a fact that it's not too soon. And I just cover it up, and that's it. and that's mine. So honestly, the only care I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually going to rig it properly to the bamboo stick. The other thing I would say in terms of general monstera tips is monsteras grow astronomically if they're happy, and sometimes you'll get lower leaves that are a little bit droopier and they turn yellow. That's okay. It's expected loss because the plant is growing so high up and those nutrients have to reach all different leaves. I know friends have said like, oh, I have a yellow leaf and I'm really upset about it. Your plant is not unhealthy or anything. She's just growing. She's just growing huge and she can't feed all her leaves at one time. So some of the leaves do end up being casualties, which is okay. Like this one is not crazy happy. I'm not going to cut her off or anything, but she could be happier, right? I might even kind of rig her up. But the only thing is monsteras grow, at least my monstera grows out. So I know some monsteras grow tall. I try to train mine a little bit to go on the poles, but my monsteras grow big and bushy. I don't know why. Big and bushy. I'm not mad, so I'm not gonna force her to do anything. Like I said, this leaf is still alive. I'm not gonna cut it. It's still actually producing some new growth here, so I'm hopeful for it. So we're gonna put that to the side. This monstera is a troublemaker. So this is a baby monstera. Well, it was a baby. It's a baby off of the other one. As you can see, she loves producing aerial roots, and she's got a lot of stuff in here. I think a lot of like dead pieces from other plants around her have ended up here. So she's gonna graduate to just an inch bigger on either side and in depth as well. So I've got my soil. I'm just gonna break up all the chunks a little bit. I use just like a standard potting mix and I prefer this brand, but you can use any soil that you prefer. Like I said, I'm not a I just poured soil on myself. I'm not a chemist when it comes to soil. Like I pick a good brand and just keep an eye on my plants and how they're responding to it. I know some people mix their own Pure Light in there or like I said, fertilizers. Not that gal. I love plants and I feel like I've done a pretty good job with them. So I just kind of watch and listen to them versus, you know, buying a bunch of different things to feed them. This one's a little bit crispier and I don't know why. She hasn't really told me anything, but we're going to find out. Oh yeah. So you can, as I'm poking my hands in and kind of loosening up that soil and breaking it up so that we can get her out of the pot. Oh yeah. So as I'm sticking my hand in and kind of trying to break up the soil so that she can come out of the pot, I can tell already that her roots are very much taking up that space. You can kind of feel them. So I'm trying to loosen the soil without breaking any roots. That's the ideal situation. Oh gosh, girl. I'm sorry. Oh my. So I was right. She is very unhappy. You can see she has an amazing root system. I will get a close up. She looks like she's on the operating table. That's okay. So I think she's ready to kind of start to transplant. So I'm gonna add a little bit more soil. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna rig her, which I actually think I'm gonna do right now because that way I also have all this. Look how satisfying that is. Yes, I love touching dirt. That's like what I figured out with this whole getting into plants was that I love actually like anytime it's like repotting time, I'm like yes. In case you haven't figured out. I absolutely love the dollar store. The dollar store has a lot of plant stuff. I'll show you guys a couple of the other things I bought at the dollar store, but I think it's incredibly useful, that store. So I know a lot of it's like junk and we don't want to support bad plastics, but why am I hiccuping? And that is it for my overview of how I take care of my plants. I know that was kind of all over the place. I got caught up repotting. But yeah, generally speaking, I do this every few weeks. Every season I definitely repot stuff because I know for sure without even looking at it that they're gonna need repotting. So I check obviously, but I know that I'm buying a bunch of pots to make sure that it is prepared so that I can repot all my plants when the spring season comes, when the growing season comes. Please let me know in the comments below what kind of plant content you want to see. This is kind of a general overview of my plants, but if you want to learn more about a particular plant or have me focus on one care situation, definitely let me know and I will try to make it happen. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.